You probably think you know your personality. Most people do. You've told yourself a story about who you are for years, maybe decades. Calm under pressure. Emotional but strong, independent, loyal, rational, or sensitive. Pick the words that feel familiar. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. The version of yourself you can describe easily is usually not the version that runs your life. The real one shows up before you have time to think. And if you're honest, it surprises you more often than you admit. Your true personality isn't revealed in moments when you feel balanced, confident, or socially smooth. It shows itself when your system reacts faster than your explanation, when something catches you off guard, when you're tired, overstimulated, disappointed, or quietly disappointed in yourself. Those reactions you later downplay or justify are not accidents. They are psychological signs pointing directly to who you actually are beneath the self-image you maintain. Think about how you respond when something small goes wrong, not a crisis, something minor. You misplace your keys, a message you expected doesn't come, or someone cancels plans without much explanation. Do you feel a spike of irritation that fades quickly, or does it linger in your body long after you've told yourself it's no big deal? Do you immediately rationalize, or does a subtle sense of rejection, loss of control, or restlessness appear? The first internal response matters more than the calm narrative you offer later. That gap between reaction and explanation is where your real personality lives. Or consider how you behave when you're praised in a sincere way. Not generic compliments, but something specific that touches who you are. Do you absorb it, or do you deflect it almost automatically? Some people smile and move on, but inside feel exposed or uneasy. Others dismiss praise as luck, timing, or low standards. This isn't about humility, it's about familiarity. If affirmation feels destabilizing rather than grounding, it reveals a personality shaped more by effort and vigilance than by ease. Your system learned what it knows how to hold. Another sign shows up in how you experience silence. When there's nothing demanding your attention, no one needing you, no problem to solve, what happens internally? For some people, calm feels genuinely restorative. For others, it feels oddly tense, like something important is about to be missed. You might reach for your phone, create tasks, or replay conversations without realizing why. This isn't a flaw, it's information. It suggests a personality organized around movement, usefulness, or alertness rather than stillness. The way you handle rest often reveals more than the way you handle stress. Pay attention to how you respond to emotional friction, not emotional intensity. Intensity can feel meaningful. Friction is quieter. It's disagreement, ambiguity, and unmet expectations. When someone gently challenges your opinion, do you feel curious or defensive? When a relationship enters a gray area, do you try to clarify immediately, pull back emotionally, or pretend it doesn't matter? Later, you may describe yourself as flexible or easygoing, but your body already showed its preference that didn't come from nowhere. Relationships, especially over time, are one of the clearest mirrors of true personality. Not the beginning, where everyone is careful and generous, but the middle. The moments when someone disappoints you in a small but specific way. Do you minimize your feelings to preserve harmony? Do you rehearse conversations you never have? Do you confront quickly, or do you withdraw and tell yourself you don't need much anyway? Each of these patterns shapes your self-image and your connections, quietly and repeatedly. Notice the role you default to under pressure. When tension enters a room, do you become the fixer, the listener, the one who jokes, or the one who disappears? These roles are often mistaken for personality traits, but they're closer to survival strategies. At some point, they worked. They kept things predictable. They reduced emotional risk. Your true personality isn't defined by the role itself, but by how automatically you step into it without choosing. Here's a counterintuitive distinction that matters. Personality is not what you prefer when things are going well. It's how you protect yourself when something feels off. Many people describe themselves as calm, independent, or emotionally stable, yet their nervous system tells a more complex story. A person who values independence may feel deeply unsettled when they need help. Someone who sees themselves as calm may actually be highly controlled, mistaking emotional suppression for peace. These contradictions are not failures, they are clues. Look at how you respond to uncertainty. When something important is unresolved, do you gather more information, disengage emotionally, distract yourself, or push harder? Do you feel an urge to decide quickly just to stop the discomfort, or can you tolerate not knowing for a while? Each response reveals how your system learned to regain balance. Ask yourself honestly, when uncertainty enters my life, what do I instinctively reach for? Another revealing sign lies in how you relate to other people's emotions. When someone close to you is upset, what happens inside you before you act? Do you feel responsible, overwhelmed, or numb? Do you move toward fixing, or do you feel an urge to distance? Many people pride themselves on being supportive without noticing the cost. Others withdraw and label themselves as not emotional without seeing the protection underneath. Neither response defines your worth, but both reveal how closeness has been experienced in your life. One of the most overlooked psychological signs of true personality is how you handle guilt. Not dramatic guilt, but subtle, everyday guilt. Guilt for resting, for saying no, for wanting more, or less, or something different than expected. Some people carry guilt as background noise, barely noticeable but constantly present. Others feel it sharply and briefly, then push it away. The way guilt shows up tells you what your system believes you're responsible for, even when no one is asking. At this point, many people start judging themselves. They hear these signs and think something must be wrong, but judgment blocks understanding. These signs are not accusations. They are adaptations. Your personality is not random. It is coherent. It formed in response to what was required of you, rewarded or necessary. When you stop moralizing your patterns, they start to make sense. Here's the illusion worth gently dismantling, and this is where things often get emotionally sharper. Many people believe their personality is something they should eventually fix or upgrade, as if there's a more correct version waiting underneath. But what these psychological signs actually reveal is not a broken self, but a loyal one. A self that learned how to stay safe, connected, or functional in the world it was given. This realization can be unsettling because it means your system may not value the same things your conscious ideals do. You might value closeness, yet feel most regulated alone. You might value rest, yet only feel worthy when you're productive. This isn't hypocrisy, it's misalignment. And misalignment isn't resolved by forcing change. It's resolved by understanding the logic of what's already there. This is often the moment that hits hardest. When you realize that what you've been calling your strength may also be your limitation, that your endurance has kept you from noticing how tired you are. These insights can sting, not because they shame you, but because they're precise. Pause for a moment and ask yourself a few direct questions. When I'm not trying to be anything, what do I naturally move toward? When something feels wrong, what do I instinctively do to feel okay again? These answers, even if they're uncomfortable, are closer to your true personality than any label you've ever used. The hopeful part is this: seeing these signs doesn't trap you in them. Awareness creates choice. Once a pattern becomes visible, you don't have to obey it automatically. You can notice the urge to withdraw without immediately acting on it. You can feel the impulse to fix without assuming responsibility for everything. You can recognize the discomfort with rest without rushing to fill the space. Personality isn't a prison, it's a tendency. There are practical ways to work with this gently, without forcing change or performing growth. One is simple observation. When a reaction arises, resist the urge to explain it away or improve it. Just notice it. Name it internally without judgment. Over time, patterns reveal themselves. And when patterns are seen clearly, self-criticism often softens on its own. Another path is small, intentional deviation. Not dramatic reinvention, but quiet experimentation. If you usually stay silent, try naming one honest feeling. If you usually avoid discomfort, stay present with it a little longer than usual. Not to prove anything, but to learn what actually happens when you don't follow the old script. Often, what you fear is not what occurs. Your true personality is not something you need to perform better. It's something you need to recognize more accurately. Many people confuse familiarity with truth. They cling to traits that feel known, even when those traits no longer reflect how they actually live inside themselves. Psychological signs aren't here to expose you. They're here to orient you. Here's a line worth sitting with. Your personality isn't defined by who you think you should be under ideal conditions, but by who you become when no one is directing you. And another, the parts of you that feel most automatic are often the parts that learned the earliest. In the end, this isn't about changing who you are. It's about stopping the quiet misinterpretation of yourself. When you stop fighting your patterns and start listening to them, something steadier emerges. Not a perfected self, a more honest one. And honesty, when it's this internal, doesn't demand performance. It invites recognition. Your true personality has been revealing itself all along, in your reactions, in your habits, in what soothes you and what unsettles you. The question isn't whether it's there. The question is whether you're willing to see it without immediately trying to correct it. Because the moment you do, you're no longer chasing an image of yourself. You're finally meeting the person who's been there the whole time. If this video helped you, leave a like. Leave a comment below with everything you learned about yourself today. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive more content like this. Thank you for being here. See you next time.